10 days. That's how long it took Stephen King to sell the movie rights to his latest book, Fairy Tale. Paul Greengrass, director of the Bourne Identity trilogy, not including the one with Hawkeye, has just bought the rights for $1. $1! However, there is a caveat because Stephen King still has the right to have the final say on the script. In this video, I'm going to be giving you book readers and non-book readers alike a quick overview on what the book is about. I'm going to give you 5 things that this movie needs to include to be awesome. Alright, let's do this. What is up, guys, and welcome back to another random movie video. But before we start this adventurous deep dive into the world of Stephen King, you can help me on my journey to 1,000 subscribers by clicking down below and hitting that subscribe button, because a subscribe would be absolutely magical. Alright, back to the video. Stephen King has described this book as a long story with a simple idea. It's about a 14-year-old boy called Charlie and a dog called Radar who find themselves on a life and death quest in a parallel world full of terrible beings. Along the way, they meet a society of people who are on the brink of destroying their own world and ours at the same time. Now, this video is not going to go into spoiler territory with the book, but I am going to go over some of the basics of the storyline. So the main protagonist is a 14-year-old boy named Charlie. At the age of 10, he lost his mother to a hit-and-run car accident, and he was survived by his father, who, through the trauma of losing his wife, ends up becoming a drunk. This meant that Charlie had to grow up quite quick to look after both himself and his dad. At the age of 17, Charlie meets an old man by the name of Howard Bowditch. He's a bit of a recluse. He lives in a tatty house with a tatty shed in the back of his garden. He spends a lot of time with this old man, learning about the olden days and just keeping each other company. During one of his visits to Bowditch's house, he starts hearing some noises in the shed in the back of his garden. Charlie and his dog go into the shed to investigate the noise and lights, and lo and behold, he discovers this spiraling portal to another world, and from there adventure ensues. And he comes into contact with many different fantastical creatures and characters, many of which you would recognize from your typical fairy tales. It's no secret that Stephen King took inspiration from the Brothers Grimm and especially H.P. Lovecraft, who was the grandfather of horror. There's references to Rumpelstiltskin, to Jack and the Beanstalk, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and many others. There's even a nightmarish tentacle monster that harkens back to Cthulhu. Many readers agree that this is Stephen King's deepest dive into the magical and mystical and cosmic horror. But at the core of the story, it is your typical coming-of-age story. To me, the story reminds me of Stand By Me mixed with a never-ending story, with maybe a touch of Chronicles of Narnia. Charlie is a moral protagonist, and he knows the difference between right and wrong. Charlie is faced with this dwarf creature called Peterkin, who was torturing a little cricket, just sort of messing around with its legs, just toying and torturing this poor creature. And Charlie feels so strongly about it, he pulls out a .45 shotgun, points it at this dwarf, tells him to leave the cricket alone. He doesn't, and he nearly shoots his head off. And Stephen King is really good at doing this, making really relatable characters within his books. But overall, I think this book is really good. And I think if you are a book reader, go ahead and read this book. I do need to say that the news is literally that the film rights have been bought by Paul Greengrass. The movie has not yet been picked up by a studio, and so it's not in active development as we speak. However, with the previous success of so many Stephen King movies, as well as the prestige that follows a director like Paul Greengrass, I think it's only just a matter of time before a studio or streaming service picks up this movie. So for you non-book readers who have to wait for the movie to come out, let's talk about the 5 things that I want to see in this movie. Number 1, probably the most important one, cut to the chase. As amazing as a storyteller Stephen King is, many of his stories, and in particular Fairy Tale, tend to take quite a while to really kick in. It's only around halfway through the book that we actually start seeing some of the magical elements of the story. As much as we want to learn about Charlie and Bowditch and all the people around him, this movie really does need to entertain us. And with so many interesting creatures in the story, I think it's in this movie's best interest to cut to the chase and get to the good bit. Number 2, go heavy on the callbacks. Like I mentioned before, there are a lot of references to the Brothers Grimm fairy tale stories. Now, some of the younger audience might not hold these so dear. Everyone seems to be into their superheroes, which is absolutely fine. But those old fairy tales were pretty good, and when they were originally written, they were really dark. If any of you have watched that TV series Once Upon a Time, the way that they did Rumpelstiltskin in that show was really good. I mean, the way he looked, how devious and evil he was, that was amazing. If you take elements of that and crank it up to 10, that's what I'm looking for. And as Stephen King is a fan of H.P. Lovecraft, I do want to see some of those Lovecraftian monsters, cosmic entities from another world that are beyond comprehension, that can literally tear apart universes. And yeah, I think with the right quality of CGI and someone like Andy Serkis on board, because he is the king of CGI and motion capture, this movie could be an absolute feast to the eyes. Number 3, focusing on that dog. That dog is such an interesting character within the story, At no point does the dog talk, it is literally a dog. Radar is this old female Alsatian which is pretty much on its last legs, but has so much character and is really by Charlie's side throughout that whole story. And we know this world is full of animal lovers, and I think this character could be the real standout. So yeah, give that dog some screen time. Number 4, delve into that relationship between Charlie and Bowditch, but not too much. Again, like I said before, we want to cut to the chase. He foreshadows a lot of what is going to happen later on in the storyline, and it would be interesting to see what his relationship was with that parallel world. And number 5, give us that Bourne Identity action. Now, it's no guarantee that just because Paul Greengrass bought the rights to the movie that he's going to direct it, but I'm pretty sure that's his intention. And Greengrass did some amazing work with Matt Damon in the Bourne Identity trilogy. With the nature of the storyline and Charlie sort of dodging danger and navigating this world with so many terrible creatures, mixed in with a solid budget to apply some CGI to help tell that story, I think we can have the right blend of action and fantasy in one single movie. Someone who's able to tell that story through action and stunts, and yeah, have a fantastic time. So there you have it, guys. That's my take on what I want to see from this movie. It's going to be some time before we actually see a trailer for this movie because it doesn't even have a studio yet. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and help me on my magical adventure to 1,000 subscribers. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.